start with what we in CPU call personal stake. So take like 30 seconds, say your name, and then I realize that you're required to be here. You're probably gonna get or whatever, but watch, like if there's a reason that the energy problem is important to you, you can kind of talk about it. And if it's not important to you, you can say that too. So like if you were coming here of your own accord, what would your personal stake in this issue be? So we'll start right here.
My name's Danielle, and why I have a problem with energy?
Why the energy problem is important to you or not?
It's not really that important to me.
I'm Crystal. I think it's important, the environment.
I'm Stuart. I don't really think about it very much.
I'm Aislinn. I don't really have a side.
I'm Joe, and I also don't really have a side.
I'm Kelly. I think it's important, but I'm not one of those people who would like actively try to do anything about it.
Okay.
I'm Matthew, and I'm not really that concerned with it.
I'm Mike. I'm a little bit concerned with the implications that like drilling and everything has for the environment, because I'm like an outdoor sports enthusiast, and I like to snowboard, and I like to go kayaking down the Poudre River and stuff like that. So
I'm Kayla. I think it's important. I don't really know how to help outside of just like recycling and that kind of stuff, but I try that way to help.
Okay.
Chris, and I think we should utilize alternative energies.
All right, cool. Well, that's pretty good. I mean, I hope you guys read. I hope that we can still have a conversation about this, because it really is a real thing that we're kind of facing, and whether or not it's important to you. Yeah, you kind of will end up being involved, I think. So we're going to start with approach number 2, getting out of the fossil fuel predicament. So that basically is the idea of utilizing alternative sources. Did you guys was there anything in particular you found interesting about this approach? What should be done? Why it's a problem?
I thought it was interesting that didn't they talk right there in what should be done, it said to sign the Kyoto Protocol, but they didn't talk about that.
Okay.
Isn't that the cap and trade? Isn't that what that is? I don't know.
The Kyoto Protocol is basically a very specific set of rules and regulations that you'd be required to follow. I don't know all the details of it. I think someone might do a debate on it in this class later on. But yeah, it's basically just really, really strict guidelines that if you sign it, you have to follow them, and it's pretty expensive, and there isn't a whole lot of room for error. You're really responsible for it if you deviate. So, Beth, do you have anything more on the Kyoto Protocol that they need to know?
No, I don't require you to know anything about the Kyoto Protocol, except that it's, we didn't sign it because it is so stringent, and they wanted, like, I could be wrong on the number, but they wanted to see a significant decrease in emissions by a specified date, and because of our consumption, realistically, there would have been no way we could have achieved that goal. And that was really why the Kyoto Protocol wasn't signed by the US.
And I think there's huge, like, financial,
oh yeah.
like it would cost us a lot of money if we didn't make it, basically, for some, I don't know, it seems a little counterintuitive, but.
So yeah, you remember the whole lobbyist component that we talked about the other day in class? Lobbyists to affect treaties that we sign in because of the bottom dollar.
Yeah, so that's that. It basically would just require us to follow everything. So you guys see any benefits, advantages to, under the what should be done, like signing such a thing, using nuclear power, investing in wind energy? Are there any advantages to those things you see?
I think there's definitely a lot of advantages of getting out of foreign oil. I mean, obviously our country's in hard financial states right now, and building wind towers and creating new opportunities for people to get into like the green industry will create more jobs and just help us out altogether.
Okay.
I also agree with that because I think that if we like think of better ways to improve the environment and our energy consumption and stuff like that, people will be more willing to pay for the more expensive light bulb or the more expensive like recycling or whatever, just so that they don't have to, so that they can have jobs and not pay millions of dollars a year on gas and everything like that. So
Sure.
in the long run, I think that like more efficient energy would be cheaper.
Okay. What do you think it would take, you were, I mean, to answer this question, what would it take to get to that place where people know that spending $2 more on one light bulb really is benefiting and really is creating jobs? What?
I think that somebody just needs to push it, like advertise it more, like
Mm-hmm.
one person can make a difference, like with recycling and everything like that. Like one person starts recycling and everybody starts doing it. So
I almost think like an extreme needs to happen for us to realize that we really need to push energy efficiency.
I think the Kyoto Protocol would be the extreme.
Yeah. Okay. Would there be any, how about any disadvantages to doing something like that? Obviously, we talked about the financial thing and how hard it would be to get there. And even wind energy, there's a lot of things about it, like it doesn't produce as much. You know, Colorado in particular is not a very windy state. I know, contrary to popular belief, from Fort Collins, there's really only one like funnel of space in Colorado that's windy. You know, things like that, putting hydro generators out in the ocean. What are some disadvantages to the alternative energies that we have?
Well, people have started to rely on everything that we have now, like foreign oil and everything like that, and so people wouldn't get into it as fast, I don't think, as much as we'd want them to.
Yeah.
I think like the initial startup cost is also something could be a barrier to like doing some of these things, like wind towers and hydro stuff. A lot of that technology isn't essentially proven yet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it works, but just getting it started could have a really high startup cost before we start seeing any benefits from the energy.
Mm-hmm.
And we have all this oil right now, and
Yeah.
it's like an easy solution.
Exactly. Or, yeah, easy fix. We don't. Yeah, it's the startup cost. I think you're right, both of you. That a lot of times that's the problem. People don't want to spend the money to see the benefit. They like instant gratification, and either that or just a general detachment to the issue. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else that you like thought was interesting about this approach, or? Yeah, well, let's talk about the opposition. I guess we just talked about, yeah, they're not ready yet. They're not really ready to roll icebergs. We can't replace every dependence on oil with renewable energy. We already have the oil. Nuclear waste is really dangerous. Do you guys think that those are reasons that are big enough to not do it at all, to just avoid changing?
I think that they're big enough, but I think that there's ways around them too. Like with the nuclear waste, just because we don't have like a good place or like way to dispose of it right now doesn't mean we can't. Like we can work on that. Mm-hmm. And then also, like the first bullet point in the opposition section when it says our energy appetite is so large that a few alternatives will not make a dent. That was like what was mentioned earlier when we use so much of the world's like resources and we really don't make up that much of a population. So I think like that's obviously something that needs to be changed and altered.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's that startup cost then is the problem. And while we're here, let's talk a little bit about like why do you guys think it's not important to you? Is it just because at this time in your life it's not, you're just kind of detached, or do you think it will become important? What's some of the reasons?
I think it's just shoved in our faces so much and just sick of it.
Oh really? Okay, so it's like being overexposed kind of brings new black.
I think it'll become important because, I mean, it's gonna just get worse. Like people, we're just like consuming everything. Like people are just want to drive their cars everywhere. Nobody wants to put in any work for anything, so they always take the easy way out. When it gets worse, everyone will know about it.
And it's too late probably. So we're talking about preventative things, whether or not global warming is an issue. Definitely.
Well, one time at school, this company came in and gave us all like free light bulbs, those efficient ones, and I put it in my house, and ever since then, my parents have been like, every light bulb that goes out, they put a new one in. So maybe if you like give someone things to try,
Yeah,
then they can like sample it and see if they like it.
cool, kind of good advertising.
Yeah.
Right, goes back to the whole thing about like if one person does it, like other people will, because in our composition class, we read something about this also, and it was like, there was this teenage girl a little kid who told their parents that they wanted to recycle, and so like their parents were like, okay, then we'll recycle, and then they started like a whole chain of recycling in that community or whatever, so.
So I think what we keep coming back to really is startup costs, and then it's a money thing that was an expensive thing for that company to do, bring in, and how many kids were there, you know, even if there were only 30, it cost $6 a piece,
Yeah.
so, you know, times an entire school especially, but now, if that happened to everybody and every family who received one of those light bulbs is changing up, then they're probably seeing a difference in their energy bill, and if not, then if every single person did it, they would, you know.
Yeah.
So money is, when we talk about those values, that's one of those things that's important to Americans, having their capital. All right, well, let's move on to approach 3. This is one that I really think that this is probably my favorite approach, but we have, this is the one that we just have the most pull on, reducing our demand for energy. So basically, it's the idea that we have the most pull, that we can use less, we can drive less, we can use efficient light bulbs, we can run our dishwashers with cold water, whatever, you know. Yeah, so there's the ideas of tax incentives, increasing taxes on things like gasoline and light bulbs and whatever. Yeah, and then requiring things like the Energy Star program. Do you guys think that those are good ideas, that these are feasible ways?
This one was my favorite also because like of everything that they say, and I think it's really important that people realize that like what we're doing is freaking ridiculous. And so like people do need to cut back on driving everywhere, and how like I don't get how hard it is to like ride your bike or walk, but the only thing that gets me is like increasing gasoline taxes, because I don't feel like that'll stop people from driving. Like the gas prices just keep going up and people don't care, like they'll pay, and even if they don't have the money to pay for it.
Even in the summer when it was $5 a gallon, people still on the road goes.
But yeah, I think this is the best plan.
Okay.
Something it doesn't mention on here that I think is important is public transportation.
Okay.
The U.S. has really inefficient public transportation all over the place, and I know for me, if I had like a train I could ride down to Denver or like something like that, like it would cut back on my desire to drive around a lot more.
Like the buses ran after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Stuff like that. So I think that's important.
Yeah.
I don't really think there's anything new about this, though. I think this is what people already do, and they're just, I don't know, I don't think that just continuing to do what people already do is going to make much of a change. I don't, because this is just saying like ride a bike, but people have been doing that for years. Like I don't think there's much change about this plan.
Well, I guess the question that it's probably posing, acknowledging the fact that people do ride bikes, is that not enough people ride bikes, and that more people could ride bikes. So, I don't know, would there be something that would make you, I don't know, drive less, or like could there be a campaign of some sort?
I wouldn't say that, but the last bullet on the what should be done goes back to the approach 2. We started talking about it, but having ad campaigns like smoking or drink driving one, I think that would be a huge thing. I don't know.
Don't they already have campaigns like that, like small steps for like energy efficiency?
Oh, there definitely are, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
There's lots of commercials, but I don't see them like in your face, like the smoking and drunk driving ones. They're
Right.
really
Those people in the plaza just stand and like scream things at you, you know?
yeah.
They're just yelling for you to be more efficient, that's kind of.
Like the Greenpeace people who just
Yeah.
talk to you.
Yeah.
Just tell them you're already a member and they will feel them.
Yeah.
They give me high fives when I tell them that.
$50 a month, man.
They can even afford gas.